Hey everyone, I'm Johanna, yoga and meditation teacher, Reiki master, sound healing practitioner, and sacred cacao facilitator. You're listening to the Vibrational Shift podcast, dedicated to people looking to reconnect with themselves. Together, we'll explore different energy healing modalities, meditations, breathwork, sound healing, and so much more. Are you ready to experience a vibrational shift with me? Hello and welcome to the second season of the Vibrational Shift. I have been working on this for the last couple of months, doing interviews with all different kinds of practitioners, and I'm really excited to finally be able to put the first one out into the world. So when I started this podcast, I guess last year in November, I kind of did it on a whim. I had all of my bowls out already and was going to play and record a meditation and decided, what the heck, let me just go ahead and turn this into a podcast. And so that's how the Vibrational Shift was born. And I have to say that every single conversation that I've had for recording season 2 has been so beautiful, because it's been medicine that I didn't realize, not just myself, but that all of us need. And so my goal and my intention with every episode is that you get to get exposure to a new teacher, get exposure to a teacher or a colleague or a peer of mine that has been instrumental in my own development. And so that's exactly what this first episode is. I trained with Meryl because I had already done a lot of yoga teacher trainings, right? 200-hour plus a 300-hour plus a prenatal yoga teacher training plus a yoga for fertility training. You name it, I did it. But I wanted to go deeper into meditation because I knew that I had it as a foundation in my own practice. And when I came across Meryl's program, I saw the description and knew that it was what I needed at that time. And I'm really glad that I did find it, because it kind of unlocked a new part of my way of sharing this practice with others. You know, I had already been teaching smaller meditations, like really short ones that would be at the end of a yoga practice, or that were incorporated into the beginning of a sound healing session. And so I hope that you all get to enjoy this episode as we chat about the vibrational shift in Meryl's life and what brought her to teaching. And yeah, make sure to follow her. All of her information is in the show notes, and I can't wait to chat with you all again right before I release the next episode. And because these are all pre-recorded, you're not gonna have to wait weeks upon weeks before I actually release a new episode. I think I have episodes lined up to get us through the summer for sure. So enjoy, and make sure to subscribe or follow on whatever platform you're listening in on. And I'd love it if you'd share this with your friends. As always, you can connect with me on social media. Go find me at Luna Serenity Yoga. Enjoy. All right. Well, I'd love to welcome to this episode Meryl Arnett. She is actually my meditation teacher. I did a training course with her last year, meditation 1 and 2, and it was an absolutely heart awakening experience for me, and has really been the foundation of a lot of the work that I've done over the last year and a half. So I knew when I was doing season 2, she was going to be at the top of the list of folks that I wanted to get on here. So without further ado, Meryl, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to chat with you today. Let's see. I am a mom of two located in Atlanta, Georgia, or just outside of Atlanta. And I have been teaching meditation for the last 13 years. And I really came to it, truly from a place of wanting to understand it. Like I'm very much somebody who, when I don't understand something, I go look it up, I figure out what it means, and then I sort of check the box like, great, now I understand this. I quote unquote know it. And meditation is one of those things that you could read all the books, and unless you do it, you're not going to know it. So it was a real challenge for me to sort of shift my mindset from, I can't just go read a book and say, I'm a meditation teacher now. I can't just take a yoga training and say, oh, I'm a meditation teacher now. I really had to step fully into an embodied practice of meditation, which I did. And I explored several different teachers and lineages. And over time, I hit this moment where I thought, oh, I finally understand that actually I've been meditating this whole time and I didn't know it. I thought I was doing it so wrong. I thought I was incapable. And then it really became my quest to be able to teach it in a way that helped people understand you can meditate. It is not some impossible Herculean task. And so that's what I've been doing. I teach group classes, private clients, corporate sessions. I do teacher trainings, and this is what I do full time actually now, is just teach.
Beautiful. So I would love to talk through maybe a time in your life where you felt like you needed a shift. The name of the podcast is obviously Vibrational Shift. Um, and I enjoy hearing about other people's experiences because I think it is always almost like medicine for the soul for us to be able to apply it back to certain situations that everyone, there's like this universal feeling that we have when we are going through changes, and being able to hear the shared experiences from others, I think can be really powerful. So I'd love to hear about maybe a time in your life when you knew that you needed a change or a transition or a shift of some sort.
There have been several key shifts in my life. Actually, I'm debating which one to pick. And actually, I'll just name that I actually feel like I'm going through one right now.
Ooh.
So I'm going to name that. And I think maybe let's talk about the very first one, since I had no experience with these huge transitional moments. And the first one happened pretty shortly after I did my very first yoga teacher training. I was late 20s and in my sort of first, I'm going to call it grown-up job. I was in public relations in the food and beverage industry, which is what I wanted to do. Like, this was a dream job for me in every aspect. I loved the people I worked with. I loved what I was doing. And I had stumbled across yoga. The short story is when I was getting married, I signed up for a yoga and Pilates boot camp. I was like, let me get in shape before the wedding. This is such a silly story. And it was 4 days a week, 6 a.m. for however long. And I had done Pilates. I did Pilates all through college. It was one of my favorite workouts at the time. I had never done yoga. And I walked into the studio and I sat down on my yoga mat, and this woman started guiding us through a class. And somewhere in the middle of that class, I heard clear as day, I'm going to teach meditation one day. I'm going to teach yoga one day. It was so clear. There was not a second of hesitation in my mind, in my body, that this was going to happen. And so I did that little boot camp and I found a yoga studio and I started taking classes. And I think maybe 2 years later, actually 3 years later, I did my first teacher training, which was incredible. And then I started teaching. So I had a full-time corporate job and I was teaching Tuesday, Thursday, 6 a.m. yoga. And as I moved deeper into my own practice, as I was starting to teach other people, I started exploring the ethical teachings known as the yamas, right, from the Yoga Sutras. And the second one is truthfulness. And there was something about that teaching in that moment that hit me so hard. And I remember having this feeling of, I'm not sure I know what truthfulness is, but I don't think I'm being truthful. And so I committed to myself that I was going to explore truthfulness for a whole year. And in the course of that, I really started to feel this significant divide between the Meryl that showed up Tuesday, Thursday at 6 a.m. to teach a yoga class and the Meryl that showed up 9 to 5 for PR work. And I didn't like that it was two different people. I needed it to be the same person. And so this was like a huge moment of transition. Like the Meryl that is out in the world, the one that's there the majority of the day, is very different than the Tuesday, Thursday, 6 a.m. woman. And yet that's who I feel like I really need to be all the time. That's who I am. And so this moment of transition was not just a moment, it was about 2 years in all. And I created a plan and worked through that plan. And it started with little shifts in my day job. And it, culminated in me stepping away from that job and moving into teaching full time, and unraveled an entire new series of transitions and growths.
Wow. I love I love everything that you just shared, because I feel like when I talk to a lot of other teachers, they're either in the middle of that shift of realizing that they do kind of transform into a different person when they're holding space for others. And it's almost like a remembrance of who we are at our essence, like the highest version of ourselves versus what the world has conditioned us to be, whatever career position that may be. So I really appreciate what you just shared. And even the notion of hearing the call. I got goosebumps when you said that, when you heard, they said that you were in that class and you heard that you were going to teach. I've had a couple of similar experiences over the years. And I remember I was so new into learning to listen deeply that when I heard it, I remember immediately thinking, I'm crazy. Like, what's that? Like, why don't I trust what I can feel and what I know and what I just heard? I'll never forget. I remember it was New Year's Day. I went to a class and was deep in meditation right after Shavasana. And I heard a word that for me, it didn't quite land. It landed as a truth, but I I believe it. I had heard the word curandera, like healer. And I remember thinking, I was like, wow, what is that? And I got really excited and really curious, but at the same time, like the other part of Johanna was like, can you believe or trust what you heard? Like, yes, it feels true and it resonates, but what does it actually mean? And I feel like that opened up the door to get curious. So hearing you say that you also had that calling, and being able to listen to it, trust it, and go with it is always very inspirational to hear when I hear that from others. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So
It's so, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's so challenging because a lot of times what we hear contradicts what we believe about ourselves, or contradicts the identity that we've created and are so tightly gripped. I just remember this moment of being like, well, what are people going to say if I am quote unquote just a yoga teacher? And when I remember hearing it, when I heard it, I believed it. I don't think I told a soul for well over a year, because like I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but I was not comfortable stating like, that college degree I got actually means nothing now. I'm going to leave the career that I just spent the last 7-8 years building. Like, so much shame and worthiness and, identity stuff came up just because I was contemplating a transition. I hadn't even done anything yet.
So when you found yourself in that place of being ready to make the transition, you said you started by creating a plan and then there were little shifts along the way. I'm curious, I'm about to make a leap here, but this is an assumption. Like, how did your yoga and meditation practice support you? Or what were some of the other tools that you had to help you through that transition process? It's like, yes, you had the plan, but then there's all these emotions that come up with it. And you're starting to talk a little bit about that. What were some of the things that you were leaning into during that time?
As I stated, I was really using truth as my anchor. And so I'm a big journaler. I love to journal. I encourage all my students to journal. And every time I would journal, I would end the journal sessions with, is this true? Question mark. Not that I could ever prove it or even know if I was answering truthfully, but I feel like asking myself that question over and over and over again was so helpful. And then I was actually incredibly grateful for the structure and foundation of almost a decade of corporate work. Like, I feel like I had a sense of what it meant to build something, be responsible for all the moving pieces, plan financial goals. So I was not somebody who leapt blindly. I never have been. And I feel like using those two pieces, like I used the part of me that is, logical and corporate-y. And at the same time, I was bringing in these practices that are on the surface illogical, like I heard something. You can't explain that. You can't prove that. There's no logic to that. So I felt like I was sort of holding things in two hands and leaning a little bit this way and a little bit this way. And I kept kind of doing that so that I felt somewhat steady, like I had some sort of foundation in the practice as I was shifting.
Yeah, I love that. With the at the very beginning, you mentioned that this was in your late 20s that you had this first transition, and you named that you're currently going through a transition. Is there Do you see the similarities and differences in how you handled that transition versus this transition, from like even the way that you are handling it, or the way that you're leaning into the transition or maybe leaning away from it? Anything you'd like to share on that front?
Yeah, the big difference to me is in that first transition, I still very much operated with a binary mind. So, like, this is where I want to go, and I'm not there. And I just have to keep working till I get there. Right. And the 41-year-old Meryl, who has gone through several transitions, realizes like it's not this stark line in the sand that you step over. It is so granular and so pervasive. And so this transition that I feel like I'm going through now, which is really a bit about how I teach and what I focus on within my teaching, I don't feel the same need to be like, and now I do it this way. I no longer do it the way I previously did it. I just don't feel this same sense of pressure to create a specific definition that is clear as day for people. I feel like I can let the lines be blurry and move with it, and even when I think about that first transition, and I really want to name this because I think there's such a culture right now of like, do your passion, leave your job and go do your passion. And I think for some people, amazing, do that if that's what you're supposed to do. And for some people, you don't have to, right? Like, I could without a doubt do my original job in a truthful, mindful way that would, I know, be fulfilling and enjoyable today. I don't know that I had the skills immediately when I was 27, 28, something like that, but I know I could today looking back. And so as I'm moving through this latest iteration of transition, I don't feel the same sense of pressure to have it all figured out, to have the plan, to know the exact endpoint. I'm sort of just like rolling a little bit with it and testing the waters and feeling like, let's see what happens.
And more sense of flow is like the first thing that came to mind as you were talking about allowing those lines to be
Mm.
blurry and kind of just going with it as opposed to like that hard line that you had in the very beginning.
And I wonder, this is just coming to me now, but also I think there's so much more trust, right?
Mm,
We're like talking about truth. I'm like, oh, right. I trust myself so much more now. I don't feel the same sense of pressure to prove this is a real job.
mm,
I can do this and make a living. I don't feel that same sense of pressure. Like that box has already been checked, thankfully. And so there is a bit more trust, like that I can step into a shift and know that the outcome will be workable. I don't know that it will be successful, but I know that it will be workable and there will be something next. It's not an end point.
beautiful. One of the things that you also said that brought me back to the training that we did with you, and I haven't been as good as implementing it, but that has really first was journaling. I
Mm,
know that we did journaling during our training, and I had always had a journal practice, but I go back and I look at it from I started journaling back in 2012, and I can tell you how much I journaled because it all fit in one book. Like I could go and I'd flip through it and I would go through these spurts of like, you know, like not a detailed practice, but a practice of where I was doing it and then I'd fall off and then it'd resurface. And ever since I did the training with you, I have the journal behind me, not an arm's reach though. And it's consistent. And the book is almost full and it's only been a year and a half and it's a much bigger book than the one I had before. Um,
mm,
but that practice has really helped me even with the shifts in my life in the last year, really looking at why I love journaling so much. I always enjoyed it, but I didn't make the time for it or create the space for me to do that. But I think in addition to creating a regular meditation practice for myself, I also created a regular journaling practice to be able to come back and look at it. And there was one thing that you taught us or that you brought up, you brought up in one of the classes we did, and it was about just having a little bit more freedom with what journaling has to look like. Sometimes it might be a drawing or even giving yourself the time and space to bring forth like that creativity. And I went and I looked, I think this might be it actually. I looked at something I had started. There was one of the tips was like to always have something on you that you could, yes, this is
yeah.
it. I just pulled it down. So it was up here above my desk. And one of them was like to scribble, right?
Yep.
And there's some that make like no sense, but I started carrying it with me whenever I would have an idea. So this is a couple of different practices that you showed us, and I started carrying it with me. And that has actually been like one of my anchors throughout the years, like being in the moment, physically writing it down has made such a difference in my overall meditation practice because it gives me something to like come back to. So I just wanted to thank you for that because when I think about the transitions over the last year for myself, having an actual journaling practice to go along with a regular meditation practice. And then when I remember to create the space for creativity, I go back and I look at that journal, my bigger journal, and it's just like you can see where I was in these different shifts or these different transitions over the last
Mm.
year. And it's just a beautiful reminder of the growth that happens. So I just wanted to thank you for that as well.
Oh, I'm so glad. And you named like my favorite practices. And so I have like right now, my journal is a sketch pad. It's probably like a 9 by 12 9. It's like over behind us. So I'm looking at it. It's like a 9 by 12, 9 by 13. So a big sketch pad. And I don't draw. I'm not artistic in the least. So most of it is words, and I don't write in straight lines. I write and I circle things and I draw arrows, and it is not an easy flow. And it's a translation of whatever is in my mind after my practice. And I've really found over the years that that's where the magic is. If we meditate and we jump up and run into the next part of our day, we forget the things we heard, right? We don't remember the wisdom that showed itself to us because we got too busy. And when we take, I don't know what you do. I do 5 minutes. So it's like not long. You take 5 minutes to make some scribbles on paper. And when no words come, scribble or draw with your non-dominant hand. It's not to look good. You're not going to show anybody, but it's translating the wisdom of your practice into a place you'll remember it. And then the other piece that you mentioned, which I also just did this morning, actually, is I carry a little mini pocket notebook. I keep one in my car. So it's like in my dash where I can reach it because I often get inspired while driving. And I carry it in my hiking bag when I go hiking. And it's for the spur of the moment pieces of wisdom that show itself, or a quote I hear that I love, or a word is like, oh, I want to think about, what does the word resilience mean? And I'll just make a little note. And then sometimes when I get home, I rip the page out and I stick it on my desk so I don't forget. Sometimes I just bring the whole notebook in and flip through it. But you really named two of the practices that are a huge part of my day.
And they've become a big part of my practice as well. So thank you for
I'm
sharing
so glad.
that.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I don't want to forget to do this after the meditation. And I feel like every time I come out of meditation, my brain is not quite quite there. So you mentioned at the very beginning a couple of your different offerings. But can you share with listeners anything that you have coming up that you'd like to allow people to know about? And then how can people stay in contact with you or get more information about your offerings?
Thank you. Yeah, so my website is my name, MerylArnett.com. And on my website, you can find my podcast, The Mindful Minute, which is a full meditation class every single week. It's a recording of my live Monday night class, which you can also find on my website if you want to join the live class. And then coming up in August will be my 2023 meditation teacher training. So for those of you that may want to start to offer meditation out in the world, which is what I hope you want to do because we need more of it, that is also on my website.
Beautiful. Is there also a community that you have through Mighty Networks?
I started a community last year, and honestly, it's too much.
It's a lot.
It's too much. Like there are so many places clamoring for our attention that I really realized that it was becoming another place, like, pay attention to me, click here. And I just don't want that to be what I'm offering in the world. So it would talk about a transition, right? It was something that I put out there and tried for a bit. And I realized actually this is not feeling in alignment. And so we shift off, and all the offerings are still available. There's just not like, download this app and click on this link. It's, you know what? If you want it, it's on my website. You can find it. I'm not going to be screaming at you to do it because I'm tired of getting screamed at.
You're right. And that's another, like you said, it's a whole nother transition that you had to go through. And being, like you were saying, is this in alignment with what you want to have, especially because you've been on the receiving end. I think all of us have been on the receiving end of trying to figure out, discern, where is it that you can and want to spend your time.
Yeah, it's so interesting, especially, I'm sure you feel the same way. We're in the work of hopefully helping people to feel more whole and well and joyful. And that does not come from scrolling. We all know it. It's so addictive. It is part of the marketing world. So for us to be creative individuals and put work out there that we need people to pay attention to, we sort of have to be part of the problem. And I spend a lot of time thinking about, how do I do this while causing the least possible harm? How can I do this so that the tools are there if you want them, and you don't feel like you have to spend hours on your phone trying to be well. I want you to go outside. I want you to go for a walk. And if you want to put your headphones in and listen to a podcast, wonderful. And if you want to listen to birds, I'm so happy. Go do that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So Meryl, I'm going to invite you to take us on a practice. I will hand the floor over to you.
Thank you. I would love to lead a little 10-minute meditation. And I'm going to preface with, I have really been playing with something in my own practice that I'll share with you guys today. I had a moment somewhere along the way where I realized I have complete control over the decision to let my practice reside entirely within myself, or to let my practice seep out into worrying about other people, thinking about other conversations, planning other things. And it was a real shift when I internally decided, actually, I get to be the boss of what happens in my mind. It's not the other way around. I don't have to have that argument with my mind about what to think about or not think about. I just get to say, like, this is what I'm doing right now. Come be here. And so I'm going to weave that into our practice today, and I'd love to know how it feels for you. So wherever you might be, please let yourself take a comfortable seat, whatever that means. You could be seated in a chair, you could be propped up with pillows, you could be on a cushion on the ground, whatever feels good. And as you find your way to a seat that feels steady and safe, you'll let your hands rest onto your lap. If you'd like to close your eyes, please feel free. And if that doesn't feel quite right for where you are today, you can always just take a soft gaze towards the ground. And together as a group, let's take a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale out a sigh. And why don't we just do that one more time? Inhaling, gathering up your day so far. And a nice full exhale, letting it go. And then as you allow your breath to flow easily, naturally, we start our practice just by silently saying to ourselves, now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate. And as you say those words to yourself, we'll use them as an invitation. An invitation to let go of everything that you have already done. And to temporarily let go of all the things you still have to do. And for this one brief sacred moment, we get to just sit down. And so you'll bring your attention to your seat and just notice, can you sit more? Can you let go of some of the subtle ways we are always preparing for what's next? You'll check in with your spine, just making sure that it feels tall, elongated. So the right side of the spine and the left side of the spine feel equal and balanced. And the front side of the spine and the back side of the spine feel equal and balanced. And feel the top of the head lifting up just a little bit. And as we sit here and we breathe, maybe you'll feel your forehead smoothing and broadening. letting go of the space behind your forehead, softening across your eyes and your jaw. Letting go of the space between the right ear and the left ear. Softening across your shoulders, down your arms, through your fingertips. And letting go of the muscles in the chest and the belly. And all the way down through the legs. And gradually you let your mind's eye broaden enough to take in the whole body breathing. Feeling your body as it inhales and it exhales. And feeling or imagining as if you were settling inside your own personal meditation hut. Drawing yourself, your senses inward. The walls of this meditation hut protecting you from all the demands of your day, all the distractions, the thoughts, and the stories. And as we sit here feeling ourselves breathing, let's just make a vow that our awareness won't cross the threshold of that meditation hut. Our awareness will stay inside. It doesn't mean there won't be thoughts, doesn't mean there won't be feelings. But what it means is these are our thoughts, our feelings, and they are worth noticing. And sit here and breathe and notice just a minute or two in silence. Feeling your breath here. Noticing where your mind is, what you're thinking or feeling. And gradually starting to deepen your breath. You might wiggle your fingers and your toes, feeling those edges once again. And together as a group, let's take one last deep breath in. Exhale out a sigh. Taking all the time you need to let go of your practice and to blink your eyes open once again. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Meryl.
My pleasure. And if you're listening, as soon as you're done listening, go journal.
That's right. Maybe journal about what you saw. When you said the hut, I immediately started decorating the hut on the inside. Like,
Oh, I love that.
what were the color of the walls? What kind of cushion was I sitting on? Was there a window? Was there a door? And then I realized I didn't have a door, and I immediately started. And then you prompted something else, but I love the idea of creating that little space of what's in here is mine. It's my time. This is my time to meditate. I found was really beneficial when we started doing our teacher training, and it was my first time being, exposed to your practice. And it's something that I've repeated to myself throughout my regular meditation practice of like, this is me time. It's okay for me to have me time to be in my meditation, and the reminder of that it's time for your thoughts, not like what is going on around me in the world and worrying about their perception or things external to me. So
yeah, one of the primary teachings is the withdrawal of the senses, of pulling our senses inward. And I realized at some point that I never named that. I always just assumed that it was happening for you and for me. And something shifts when you name, pull your senses inward. Like, don't leave your hearing lingering out there in the outside world. Don't leave, your eyes are closed and still you're able to see, like, of course, I know what's just beyond the computer right now. And pull it in, come inside. That hut is the invitation. It's funny because my hut is dark. There's nothing. It is blackness, right? I'm in a dark hut with 4 walls and nothing else. So I love that you decorated yours, because I'm like, go inside and be just in these 4 walls, the 4 walls of your body, right? Your awareness.
yeah, it's funny. My hut was circular.
I love it. I love it. That is so interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for sharing your time with the listeners and for sharing this beautiful practice. I will be linking all of Meryl's information in the notes. That way you can reach out, find her, and maybe also take her meditation teacher training.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to get to chat with you again, to hear what you're up to, and to share with you and your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.